Hello guys, welcome to my channel where interesting stories of love, communication, and empathy is told. Then encourage viewers to like the video, subscribe, share with their friends, and share their perspectives in the comment section below. In the heart of Lagos stood a mansion that glittered like answered prayers. Marble floors, tall glass windows, gardens perfumed with jasmine. Yet inside that beautiful house lived a silence so heavy it could not be bought away. Hassan Bello had everything a man could ask for: wealth, respect, faith, and a love story people admired. 5 times a day he answered the call to prayer before it even finished echoing. His business empire stretched across continents, but he never allowed success to stretch him away from God. And beside him was Zainab, gentle, radiant, patient. Married for 11 years, they loved each other with a tenderness that made strangers believe in destiny. But there was no child, no laughter in the hallways, no small shoes at the entrance, no sleepy voice calling mama in the night, only silence. And every year that silence grew louder. By 2026, hope had become an act of worship. That Ramadan, Hassan and Zainab decided they would ask Allah for nothing else, not success, not health, not expansion of wealth, only a child. They fasted not just with their bodies, but with their fears. Every evening, before breaking their fast, they made dua with trembling hands. And they gave. They paid hospital bills for strangers. They funded orphanages quietly. They distributed food across neighborhoods without revealing their names. Give, Hassan would say, even while we are still waiting. Gratitude must not depend on receiving. Zainab would smile, though her eyes sometimes carried storms. But one person never approved of their generosity: Hassan's mother. Hajia Mariam was a woman of sharp words and guarded emotions. She criticized their giving. "You are emptying your hands while asking God to fill them," she would warn. She questioned the hospital visits. She interfered in their private grief. Sometimes she would arrive unannounced and start arguments that left Zainab in tears and Hassan confused. Why would a mother fight the very prayers her son was making? The tension grew unbearable. Yet, strangely, Hajia Mariam never stopped coming, never stopped watching, never stopped asking questions about their medical appointments. It was as if she was guarding something, or hiding something. On the 27th night of Ramadan, the air felt different, still, sacred, vast. Hassan and Zainab prayed longer than they had ever had before. Words dissolved into sobs. Their sujood felt like surrender, not request. "Ya Allah," Hassan whispered, "if parenthood is not written for us, then write peace for us." Zainab could not speak at all. Only tears touched the prayer mat. That same night, miles away, Hajia Mariam sat alone in a dim hospital corridor, clutching an old envelope to her chest. Inside it was a document dated 12 years earlier, a document she had hidden from them, a document that could change everything. She wept silently. "For 12 years, she whispered, "I carried this alone." 3 days after Ramadan ended, Hassan's phone rang before Fajr. It was a hospital. "There is something you must come and see immediately." His heart raced. Zainab's hands trembled as they drove through the quiet Lagos morning. Neither of them spoke. When they arrived, they were led not to a doctor's office, but to the neonatal ward. And there, wrapped in a soft white blanket, was a newborn baby boy, sleeping, peaceful, waiting. Zainab gasped. "Whose child is this?" The doctor hesitated, then handed Hassan the old envelope, the same one Hajia Mariam had guarded for over a decade. Inside it was the truth. Years earlier, during one of their failed fertility treatments, a viable embryo had remained preserved without their knowledge, saved through a decision made quietly by Hajia Mariam when doctors told her the couple had lost all hope. She had paid for its preservation, protected it, waited until the right time, fought them, tested them, watched their faith, because she feared giving them hope too early and losing it again. The final procedure had been completed during Ramadan, without telling them. She wanted their child to arrive not from desperation, but from surrender to God. Hassan's knees gave way. Zainab wept over the child, whispering verses of gratitude through tears. "But where is Mama?" Hassan asked. The doctor lowered his gaze. "She is in surgery. She insisted on seeing this through herself. She said, if anything happened, you must know she did it out of love." Some prayers are answered quietly. Some miracles are carried in secret. And some mothers love so fiercely they are willing to be misunderstood to protect destiny. The hospital smelled of antiseptic and fear. Hassan stood outside the operating theater, holding the tiny cap that had been on his son's head. Just hours ago, he had become a father, and now he might lose his mother. Zainab sat beside him, the newborn cradled against her chest. She looked at the child's face, the same calm forehead Hassan carried when he prayed, and her heart ached with gratitude and confusion. "Why didn't she tell us?" Zainab whispered. Hassan swallowed hard. "Because she was afraid we would hope again." For 12 years, Hajia Mariam had secretly paid the preservation fees. She had followed every medical update alone. She had argued with them, discouraged them, even angered them, all to prevent them from reopening a wound that had once nearly destroyed their marriage. She had chosen to carry the burden of hope by herself. Hours later, the surgeon came out. "She is stable. She kept saying one thing before anesthesia," he said. Hassan stood immediately. "What did she say?" The doctor smiled gently. She said, "Tell my son that Allah answers dua in ways we cannot imagine." When they were finally allowed to see her, Hajia Mariam looked smaller, weaker, but when she saw the baby, her eyes filled with light. "You named him yet?" she asked faintly. Hassan could not speak. He knelt beside her bed, like a child again. "Why did you do this alone?" he asked, voice breaking. She touched his cheek. "Because you and Zainab had already suffered enough. I could endure the waiting. A mother can survive what a child cannot." Zainab stepped forward, tears falling freely. "All those times you argued with me? I needed you to grow stronger," Hajia Mariam replied softly. "Parenthood is not given to the weak-hearted. I was preparing you, even if you hated me for it." Weeks passed. The mansion that had once been silent now echoed with midnight cries, hurried footsteps, and laughter that came without warning. Hassan found himself awake at odd hours, rocking his son instead of reviewing business reports. Zainab no longer wept into prayer mats. Now she prayed while holding the very answer she once begged for. And Hajia Mariam moved into the house, not as an overseer, but as a grandmother who hummed old lullabies and told stories no one had heard before. One evening, Hassan asked her, "What made you finally go through with the procedure during that Ramadan?" She smiled. "Because that was the first time you prayed without asking why. You only asked for peace. That is when I knew you were ready, whether the child came or not." Months later, Hassan sponsored the construction of a fertility and family support center, but he named it not after himself. He named it Sabr House because patience had been the true miracle. During the opening ceremony, he said, "We thought we were waiting for a child, but Allah was preparing our hearts, our marriage, and our understanding of love. Sometimes what feels like denial is actually protection." Zainab added quietly, "And sometimes the person who hurts you most is the one fighting hardest for your happiness." Hajia Mariam, sitting in the front row with her grandson asleep in her arms, simply closed her eyes in gratitude. One dawn, as the azan echoed through Lagos, Hassan stood by the window holding his son. For years, that sound had accompanied longing. Now it accompanied fulfillment. The baby stirred, opened his eyes, and began to cry, a small, fragile sound that filled the entire house with meaning. Hassan smiled. At last, the call to prayer was no longer answered by patience alone. It was answered by life. Not every miracle arrives with thunder. Some arrive quietly, protected by sacrifice, watered by patience, delivered through love that is misunderstood until the very end. And sometimes, the longest wait becomes the most beautiful story to tell.